lots of people will always ask, why do we need to do this? Doesn't that make our building seem like it's vulnerable if people are looking at it? But we see it as it's a positive and it's a benefit when people are coming in, whether they're existing owners. They look at the benefit of raising that money over a longer period of time. It's small amounts over a longer period instead of one big amount in the year when something happens, as to who's living here has to pay that levy at the time, to cover your costs to repair and reinstate, or potentially, new buyers coming into the market or coming into your building see it as a benefit because it's, you're well and truly acknowledging that you have, a risk, that you have looked at how you can mitigate all the costs and the inconveniences and what you can do to make your building be more resilient, and that you've put monies aside over a period of time so that people aren't disadvantaged. They're already, possibly, disadvantaged because of maybe there's some infrastructure that's damaged and they have to have their cars out of the building for a time, or their lifts are out of order for a time, and now they've got a financial burden on top of that with a special levy being raised to fix things. I think the thing is when people are talking about uninsured events, flood's not the only event that would fall, through the loopholes of insurance. So some buildings might not be particularly vulnerable to flood, but it's probably just a good idea, broadly speaking, for insurance to consider in your policy when you're talking to your broker what events are not covered, because an uninsured events fund will be there for those times. There's always a loophole somewhere, and you find that there's a gap between having maybe $10,000 worth of costs covered, but your bill might be 100, so now you've still got to levy the other 90, or nothing's covered and your bill's 200,000. So it's just a good, I think, or we think as a committee, that it was a good move, and it actually has paid off in the very first quarter of us raising those levies, and we didn't inconvenience people unnecessarily on a heavy levy that we had to do. And even if you don't have enough money in your sinking fund, this will actually be able to let you go and start doing the works without waiting for insurance to come through and assess and do things. You can start getting your lifts repaired because you've got money set aside there, rather than drawing on your sinking fund, which may be low because you've done other works like painting or something just that year, and it's quite low and you haven't built it up again.